All right. What a wonderful day this is. Well, what a wonderful morning this is. Oh, what a relief it is. It's good to see everyone here. Let's go ahead and get the formalities out of the way. Yo, peoples, Kyushu92 here, and welcome back to yet another My Hero Academia chapter reaction and review. As you know, I feel like an M. Night Shyamalan character saying, as you know, and you guys already know, there is no One Piece chapter today, but there is a My Hero Academia chapter today, obviously. Otherwise, why else would this video be here? But from what Viz shows me right now, it is showing me that we are going on break from this chapter. So let's go ahead and find out what this chapter actually is. So let me just roll it back to chapter 340. And in 340, it had them explaining the plan with All Might speaking to the team, talking about what's going on. The key points of this plan is separating each member, each major operative, the Paranormal Liberation Army, and separating them so that they can, fully divide and conquer. Everyone, because it has Ragdoll saying, so splitting up All for One Shigaraki means getting Dabi out of the way too, not just Dabi. Exactly, says All Might, all of them. Every one of the enemy's major operatives we must divide and conquer one by one. To that end, we have to lure each of these villains to their defeat. And Aizawa was talking to Aoyama, telling him that, Aoyama says, those friends of yours like to sugarcoat things, but I'll tell it to you straight. You will fight. It's the only thing you can do. And he's just reassuring Aoyama, saying, stick with your friends and you'll be okay. And as this is going on, it has Shinzo, hanging from a tree, Spider-Man style, when they're talking about, when Aizawa's saying, like, hey, what Aoyama says, but what can a single miscreant like me even accomplish? And then Aizawa says, you're not the only one I'm putting on this path. And it shows Shinzo, saying that Shinzo's in a similar situation for himself. Chapter 340, the story of how we all became heroes, part 3. So that is chapter 340. Let's get on with chapter 341 and see what goes down. And who do we have here? On the cover of this page of chapter 341, Himiko Toga. And I can't tell if her clothes are just majorly dirty or she's in the shade of a tree, but she's in like a school uniform, but she's just, it looks like she's just covered in, she might be covered in blood. On this cover page, chapter 341, the story of how we all became heroes, part -1. And here, we're cutting to a broken down old neighborhood, and this is Himiko Toga. It's just silence. It's just silence as she's making her way to this house with graffiti all over it. Get lost, your fault for having her, vampire demon's lair. And she's walking into this house. We did our best, but nothing worked. The girl is demonic. Ah, flashbacks and words said to Himiko Toga's childhood? Because she's going to this house and it's just covered in graffiti and run down and halfway destroyed. But it has all these graffiti with demeaning marks on there. Scum family, killer, you'll pay. So many different offensive things being said about this family and possibly Himiko Toga as well. And she's just walking through this house, with someone saying, just stop it already. This is just voices being heard. No one will ever accept you the way you are. You can't just live as you please all the time. Nobody can. Himiko's face is too scrawny. Just restrain yourself for once. These are all, I'm guessing, voices of people in Himiko's past. We're telling you this is for your own good. And she walks into this old room. And it has idiot, it has vampire in it. And then she's thinking back, I guess this is her room. This is her house. This is, in fact, her house. And she's thinking back to when she used to lay up in her bed. And it shows her laying up in her bed, and she's biting herself enough to draw blood. And this is what she did in her sleep.
Wanna be a little birdie? Chirp, chirp, tweet, tweet, so cute. Wanna be Kay? Those dimples when she smiles, so lovely. Or dancing red sparrow. It does a tap dance on my tummy.
And it's like she's having these weird dreams.
Sooner or later, it rips my tummy open and dances a jig inside me. It stains me red all over, making me oh so cute.
This is her thought process. And as she's having this dream, she's just constantly biting into her arm. This is like a little small flashback of what she's thinking of as she's having this dream. She's just biting into her arm, she's bleeding out, okay? She's bleeding out in her sleep. She's biting herself in her sleep, and she's just bleeding out all over her covers. This chick is crazy.
Such a pleasant dream. Makes me so happy.
And then it cuts back to the present day. And more graffiti on the side saying, vampire demon. And then Himiko says,
threw it all away.
And she's just smiling big. And Dobby's there. And he's just watching her walk away. And he's there, but I guess Himiko doesn't see him. And he's just chilling, watching. And he's saying, never knew you actually had a heart, nut job. But even you can get caught up in emotion, huh? Oh, so she does know he's there. Then she responds saying,
I was just curious about my old house, that's all. Totally normal.
Ha! You sure you're ready for what's coming?
And what might that be?
I mean, us putting an end to this rotten world.
Little late to ask that now.
Good. And then all of a sudden, flames erupts onto Dobby's hand, with him saying, whether we're crying or smiling, the sun'll come out tomorrow. So I say, let's smile, Himiko Toga. And as that happens, Dobby blows up her old house. I think he blew up her old house. He just erupts his arm into flames, and then it shows the house that she just left blowing up. Let's smile, Himiko Toga. Smiling is why we live our lives. And then Himiko says,
you'll get us caught, Toya. But that was awfully kind of you.
God, society don't got the juice to take us down right now. And it's not kindness so much as me twisting the knife and endeavor some more. And then she pops something on her little waistband that she has.
You'll be able to use
it, you know. When you transform. And it shows Dobby just dropping down to the ground. I differentiate between Dobby and Toya a whole lot. And he just drops down to the ground in like a plume of fire. If the person's someone close to your heart, you'll be able to use their quirk by drinking their blood. Before Makia whisks dust away, I make sure to grab the original body's blood. Twice his blood, that is. Yo! Toga has twice his blood, and since her quirk has evolved, she's able to use the quirks of the blood she intakes from other quirk users. So now she has the blood of twice, which means that she'll be able to use twice his quirk, which means multiple Himiko Togas. She just became a lot more dangerous now. Before Makia whisked us away, I made sure to grab the original body's blood. Twice his blood, that is. We'll help that sad, sad parade to keep marching. And the ones having the last laugh, that'll be us. And as he says this, is just a whole area erupted in fire. And then we cut to the stronghold of All for One, and pretty much everyone else. And Spinner is looking in one direction down a long tunnel. And as he's looking down there, he says, Shigaraki, And then it has Shigaraki screaming in the dark with him saying, "You good?" And then it comes up to what looks like this weird growth on the wall. There's this weird growth on the wall. There's this weird growth on the wall, and Spinner is looking at it, and then it recedes back further into the darkness, and then it shows Shigaraki where this growth was. What is happening to Shigaraki? Forget what I said about it being a weird growth. The growth looks like a mass of fingers, like a mass of hands, and they're all just weirdly malformed, sticking out of the wall or something. It's weird. And it has Shigaraki just huffing and puffing as he's sitting there on the floor. And then we get All For One speaking. Oh, I love doing his voice. Worry not. Tomura is recovering well as he conquers the Quirk doomsday theory. And then Spinner says, "He's still Shigaraki?" "Why, yes, of course." And then Spinner says, and because, well, I can't do Skeptic's Russian voice because in the dub he doesn't have one. But I just go with the voice that he sounds like in the dub itself. "Spinner, I'm pretty sure you know what proportion of villain-designated criminals are heteromorphs. No matter how hard the heroes in the government have tried to illuminate our society, the light can't reach every dark corner. Plenty of heteromorphs hold deep grudges against the so-called heroes. We who remain have paved the way. When the League of Villains was starting out, the world was exposed to your look, your form. It began with wannabes copying your costume, but now you're a guiding light for heteromorphs everywhere." Then Spinner speaks. "As if I'm a big messiah? Yeah, right. I'm not out here serving some great cause. I'm only here for... But the die is already cast, no going back. The escaped convicts are one matter, but the common rotters in the street await your lead. Rioters in the street await your lead. Though Redestro can no longer pull that trigger, you can." And then he holds like a hard drive to him. No matter how an average dude like me feels about it, we're past the point of no return here, huh? Then All For One speaks. "The first solid step for you will give them the necessary courage." And then Shigaraki is still crawling towards him saying, "Bring it all down." And then Spinner thinks to himself, "No more thinking it over. I'm only here for your sake, Shigaraki." And then it shows a whole army of heteromorph people who are out in the streets, including the goop monster, including the goop quirk user, the slime quirk user from the beginning of the series. He's there too. And then as this chapter ends, it has All For One saying, "Know this, Iguichi. Everyone can be somebody's hero." Wow. It is, yo, this is another moment where All For One is twisting and using All Might's words like he did in the past. This is, yo, there's so many things about this that parallel from the first chapter. I'm sorry, I had to burp. There was so many things that just happened in this chapter that call back to the very first chapter of the series. The slime monster is there in the same chapter where All Might looks at Midori and says, "You too can be a hero." And now the slime quirk user is back with All For One paralleling the same thing to Spinner saying, "Know this, Iguchi. Know this, Iguchi. Everyone can be somebody's hero." Yo, and it's like Spinner's going to be this person that rallies all the heteromorph quirk users, all the villainous types, that is. Like, what the heck? What is going on? But what's going on with Shigaraki, though? Why was he like, He was like in this there was this mass of fingers on the side of the wall, and they all receded into him. Because if I go back and it shows Shigaraki, his hand, it goes back into his arm. You know, the same one that he kind of lost a couple of fingers to because of Redestro. But it receded back into him, and it's like this weird cocoon of fingers. It's weird. Someone pointed out that the blood on Toga's clothes in the first page makes the outline of Twice's costume. Yo, hold up. It does! Yo, the white ring around the top and then the line going down. It is patterned just like Twice's outfit. Bruh. So they were letting us know that Twice was going to be mentioned before this chapter even began. Just the subtle foreshadowing that Twice was going to have a part to play. Even though Twice is dead, Twice's legacy is going to live on and have a major effect for the villains because, like I said, when I reacted to the chapter where it shows that Toga has the blood of Twice, and we know that Himiko Toga's quirk has evolved so that not only can she take the blood of a person and look like them, but if they're a quirk user, she can use their quirk as well. She has a vial of Twice's blood now, so that means that she's going to be able to use Twice's duplication and cloning quirk for herself. Himiko Toga was already dangerous being able to take the blood of a person and then look exactly like that person. That makes her like a really good spy. But now she's going to have not only her basic quirk evolved quirk ability, but because her quirk's evolved, she can now take in Twice's blood and have access to his duplication cloning quirk. And that's just going to make things even more complicated if they go up against an army of Himiko Togas. One was already hard enough to deal with, even for people like Uraraka and Sue. Now we could face the potentiality of Toga being able to take in Twice's blood and duplicate herself. This is crazy. This story's getting crazy. Toga is gonna avenge Twice. Can't wait to see Hawk's face. Oh, you know how vengeful she can be. I mean, think about it. Think about it. She was thinking back to a dream when she was thinking about a bird, a dancing red sparrow, a dancing red bird. Who do we know that's bird-like that has red wings? Hawks! Who do we know? And then Dabi coming in and blowing up her house. You know, you're still holding on. Let go. Kill the past. Let go of the past. Kill it if you have to, so to speak. But that goes on, and whether we're crying or smiling, the sun will come out tomorrow. So I say, let's smile, Himiko Toga. We'll help that sad, sad parade to keep marching, and the ones having the last laugh, that'll be us. And as this is going on, it shows Shigaraki still trying to recover after the events of him facing off against Star. Now, let's remind everyone that because of the fight with Star, the New Order quirk is gone. It destroyed itself inside. It destroyed itself while it was destroying numerous other quirks inside of Shigaraki. So that includes his Reflect quirk, and that's gone. And I believe his Search quirk is gone too. All because of the order that Star put on New Order for it to rebel. So that quirk is gone. So Shigaraki is kind of back to where he was beforehand. And All For One is out of a New Order quirk that he can't use because it's gone forever. But as this is going on, Skeptic is telling Spinner that he's going to be the one to rally all the heteromorph quirk people out there in the world. But Spinner's like, I don't care about that. I'm only here for Shigaraki. But little does he know that there's tons of heteromorph people out there such as the slime quirk user out there, and then people with giant arms, and then it looks like some dude with like I don't know, stringy fingers and limbs. It's just like a horde of people are just out here in this ruined part of the city. And All for One is just letting Spinner know that, know this, Iguchi, everyone can be somebody's hero. Shigaraki conquers the Quirk doomsday theory. This sentence has so much impact. Toga can replicate twice and can use his clone blood. Twice is not dead. It's like... Now, let's pull up the Quirk doomsday theory so we can get reminded of exactly what it is. So, the Quirk singularity is a concept postulated by Dr. Kyudai Garaki about the danger posed by quirks becoming stronger and stronger with each generation. This theory was originally called paranormal singularity theory, although over time it would become known as Quirk singularity doomsday theory. Back then, no one believed Kyudai's thesis and mocked it, citing that they found it absurd and lacking in evidence. But it says, but let me just get back to the top part here. About 70 years ago, Dr. Kyudai Garaki presented this theory, according to which, as the generations follow one another, quirks blend and evolve, producing stronger and more complex quirks. However, with this increase in power, the quirks will also become more difficult to control, since the human body doesn't evolve quickly enough to keep up. Eventually, there will come a point where quirks will become too overpowered and complicated, and no one will be able to control them anymore. And as we go back here, it shows All for One saying, "Worry not, Tomura is recovering well," as he conquers the Quirk doomsday theory, insinuating that despite all the massive power that Shigaraki has in his body, and it's seemingly looking like it's out of his control, he is slowly proving that theory wrong. As if to say that Shigaraki is going to be the individual that transcends the the Quirk doomsday theory. Because like I read off to you guys, the more and more powerful and complicated a quirk becomes, the harder it becomes to control. All for One is insinuating that Shigaraki is progressing to a point where, despite how complex all the quirks are inside of his body, he's going to still have control and master it, surpassing what the doomsday theory has already pretty much told us about. But let me continue. Back then, no one believed Kyudai's thesis and mocked it, citing that they found it absurd and lacking in evidence, and eventually ignored it. In an era struggling to return an impoverished conflict world back to peace, no one believed there was anything to indicate the collapse of the future. After his theory was rejected and he was ostracized from society as a result, Kyudai went missing. However, there was one person who took his theory seriously. All for One. With his ability to use so many quirks, the idea that his body was not able to adapt was a serious issue for him. For this reason, All for One approached Kyudai and offered him his help and patronage to continue his research and investigations in this regard. In appreciation, Kyudai became one of his most loyal allies. With the passage of time, the paranormal singularity theory began to gain notoriety. The early signs of Kyudai's hypothesis started to appear among the fourth generation of quirk users, although even nowadays the theory is considered fringe thinking reserved for cults such as humorize. But what this means is the theory that quirks would become too powerful to control and too complicated for the human body to control because the body wouldn't evolve quick enough. The body that Shigaraki has right now was specifically made to conquer that theory. Think about it. All the experimentations that Kyudai put Shigaraki through, like Kyudai told him that you'll experience a hell unlike any other, as he was put through experiment. What the whole progress of Shigaraki's completion actually meant was that his body was going to reach a point where it could be it. It's like All for One said. He was grooming Shigaraki to be the next. He said, "I'm grooming I'm progressing Shigaraki. I'm grooming him to be the next me." What he means was he was making Shigaraki the person that All for One actually wanted to be. Because All for One, right now, his body can only contain so many quirks before his body becomes unstable. That is why he turned Shigaraki into what he is right now. Gave Shigaraki a body that can not only hold numerous quirks, but also remain stable despite having so many. That's all that Shigaraki has been going through. To one day prove the Quirk doomsday theory wrong. Well, not prove it wrong, but surpass the theory. Because All for One is pretty much an example of the Quirk doomsday theory being proven right. The human body can only contain so many quirks within the body before it starts to become hard to control and unstable. So, enter in Shigaraki, a kid with no family, because he kind of murdered them all by accident, hoping for someone to rescue him. All for One, who has planned this decades, groomed this boy to hate heroes, to wish for a world where all of heroic society would just be destroyed. Groom him to be just as powerful as he can be, put him through an experiment that'll pretty much bring his body beyond that of normal human limits. Because if you remember, during the fight that was going on in, not Deka City, but the city they were in, where Shigaraki basically just destroyed an entire city, Shigaraki's body was able to move at superhuman levels without the use of quirks. Shigaraki's body has gone beyond that of a normal human being, and that's not including all the quirks he has in him, such as speed and superhuman strength, being able to leap far into the distance just on pure strength alone. Shigaraki's body has essentially ascended from what it was from the beginning of the series and has gone beyond the human limits and capacity for quirked up individuals. So now Shigaraki's body is slowly getting to the point where it can remain stable and still have numerous quirks in his body. That is what All for One has been working towards. Creating a body that can hold as many quirks as he wanted and still be stable and still have control over it. That is what Shigaraki is going through right now. That whole massive growth that was inside that tunnel is his body still trying to cope with it, but it's slowly surpassing it. Shigaraki's body is getting to the point where he's going to be able to hold any number of quirks in his body, and his body will not break down. That is what All for One has been working towards. To create an unstoppable body that can hold as many quirks as he wants into it. To become literally becoming the ultimate being. And with All for One's consciousness inside of Shigaraki, all he's really waiting for is for Shigaraki's hatred. His pure hatred that we've seen to pretty much allow him to survive so many assaults and so many fights. He's waiting for Shigaraki's hatred to override any attempt he's waiting on Shigaraki's hatred to be the catalyst that allows him to take over Shigaraki's body, and therefore All for One will have a brand new body that can hold an infinite number of quirks in it, be super powerful, and no one can stop him. That is what he's working towards. I mean, it's already obvious that's what he's working towards, but now it's even more obvious that he's waiting for Shigaraki to completely conquer the Quirk doomsday theory, to be completely in control. I'm trying to say the word control, but it won't come out that way. To be completely in control of his body, quirks and all. And once that's done, All for One, and this is just my theory, All for One is waiting for is just that one moment for Shigaraki to slip up. And then All for One is going to try and take his body over. To have that power for himself. He still wants to get One for All, because that's the only thing that can truly stop him. But he's waiting for Shigaraki's body to fully heal and to fully recover and to conquer the Quirk doomsday theory, so that he can be fully prepared to take on One for All and try and take it for himself, and therefore be able to not only have all the quirks that he's had in his body, but also be able to contain and control and wield One for All as well. Think about it. That's where it's all been going to. It hasn't just been just to hold the quirks that he has in his body, but to groom the body so it can be prepared to hold One for All as well. That's the end goal that All for One has been working towards, because if he takes One for All, he will be unstoppable. Seeing as how One for All is such a complex quirk, putting that type of quirk in his body would just ravage his body completely. So, he's just having Shigaraki conquer the quirk doomsday theory and stabilize his body, despite the many quirks in it, so that way it can be prepared to take One for All as well. That's what he's counting on. That's my theory. That's my theory. All that I just said, that's just my theory about what All for One's endgame is. Create the perfect vessel to hold One for All, so that no one can stand in his way if he takes it. I say if because it's a really big if. But my goodness, All for One. What a villain! This dude has planned this sort of thing decades in advance. He was the only one that took Kyūdai seriously. And because of that, he made plans to create the perfect individual that could help bring his plans of world domination to fruition, that no one could surpass him. Sure, he lost out of the New Order quirk, but that doesn't upset his plans because he always had backup plans, and backup plans for the backup plans, and backup plans to back up the backup plans. This dude... Can you imagine? Can you imagine what would have happened if there have been numerous moments where the heroes should have died, but they lived? And I wonder if his plans would have gone awry if some heroes actually ended up dying sooner in these chapters. But it just shows that All for One has been planning this from the beginning. To hold the ultimate power, to wield the ultimate power, he needed to create the ultimate vessel. And Shigaraki is it. But that's the end of the chapter, and we're going on break. It says we're not getting one next week, so we're going to be getting one the week after next. So I can't wait to see where the story goes from here. I mean, let's not overshadow what Toga is going to be doing with Twice His Blood. Let's not overshadow what Toya is doing. Let's not overshadow any of that. Let's all have that in our minds as this week goes on and the next week goes on. But now we know. We know. And things are going to get a lot worse when Spinner steps up to be like the reigning, the big champion that the heteromorph villains and individuals out there in the world all look up to. Because if he tells them stick with Shigaraki, he's gonna have an army on his hands. Hi everyone, how are you? It's good, Monique. This is pretty much the end of my stream here. I tend to not go too long with my My Hero Academia reactions. If you have not caught up to the series, I don't want to say anymore because I don't want you to be spoiled by any major things that are happening in My Hero Academia right now, if you haven't been keeping up with the series. But this is my end of the stream. I'm just going to have to see you tomorrow when we continue with Assassin's Creed. I will say this, Monique. I have one final mercenary, one final zealot in Valhalla to take down, and I haven't killed him yet because I want to do that on stream. I've taken out pretty much every other zealot except for one, and I want to take him down during the stream. So look forward to that. That's all I got, ladies and gentlemen. I know these tends do not be as long as my One Piece reaction streams, but this was a good chapter. Like, it's got my head filled with so many thoughts, and it's like, wow, so this is really the angle he was going for from the very beginning. I mean, we kind of knew it, but this just confirms it even further that this is exactly what he's wanted to do. So now we know All for One's plan. Well, it's really a theory on my part, but it doesn't bode well for the heroes if we're focusing so much on the villains right now. So we're just going to have to see what the next chapter has in store for us. But that's all I got. That's all I got. And I really do hope you enjoyed yourself. Nico, I hope you enjoyed it. Iman, I hope you enjoyed it. And Monique, for the brief moment that you were here this whole time, I hope you enjoyed as well. That's all I got. Let me go ahead and get my One Piece reaction done so that way I can relax. If I get this done quick enough, I'm going to save the stream for tomorrow. I want to have a lot more hours under my belt so we can cover a lot more for Assassin's Creed. So I'll do that later. But all I can say is, hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. And if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed what you saw here today, then consider subscribing or even consider becoming a member, because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. So have a fantastic day. And once again, as always, later, peoples. Love my job.